And welcome back, Abdullah.
Actually, there's very big problems for people who are looking for work. They have the good intentions and everything, but actually, their education actually doesn't match. If their education is very good, so actually here they don't have the opportunity. So the they think of immigrating to another country. I mean, those who are very high qualified engineers, doctors, and those who are they have the high level education, so they are going to immigrate. So how could we, in our country, to start to think to benefit from those people and give them the opportunity here to work here to for the good for our country?
I think you're addressing the question to the wrong man. See, this is the role of the governments and the role of those who are on
societal
top.
organizations themselves.
Yes, but I would have expect you to ask me on the role of immigrating to work
in another country.
In another country, because this would what I thought of at the very beginning when you asked the question, and if I may
Of course,
answer
please,
this question, I think that traveling to work in another country is permissible simply because this is what the Muslims in the early times used to do. The Arabs at the beginning of time were traders, and the Prophet ﷺ himself went to Syria and to the Sham area up to the north of Arabia for a trade, and he was a merchant himself, ﷺ. All the companions of the Prophet were also merchants and traders by nature. So traveling by itself to seek a better opportunity for work is acceptable as a concept. It is not depending on the effect it has on a Muslim. So if a person goes to a Muslim country where he is free to practice his religion, he is not oppressed, and at the same time he has a good opportunity for a decent job, this is one of the best scenarios possible, because then you have a good income and you are leading a comfortable life. The question arises when a person goes and travel to work in a non-Muslim country, where the temptations are endless, where Sharia, the Islamic law, is not applied, where there are threats to his faith and belief, then the answer would be going to such a country is not permissible, because although your income will improve, your religion will deteriorate, and the level of iman, of faith, will drop dramatically. And in so many cases, and I've witnessed cases like this, people abandon their religion. They're overwhelmed with the pressure of the peers, with the environment, the society. They have to give in. They're hopeless. And then they start to imitate and copy the Western way of thinking, ideology, and they are transformed into being something other than Muslims. So if they are sure to preserve their Islam and Iman, they can practice their religion freely, they are immune to the temptations around, working in such an environment is permissible. Otherwise, it's not.
But how can they, excuse me, how can something like that be measured? I mean, to see whether or not you will be able to protect yourself from the temptations around you in a different society. Okay, the oppression part, that can be found out. But how can you actually know if you're going to be able to protect yourself from the temptations around you and be a strong Muslim?
Everyone knows his own capabilities.
So it's an individual thing?
Yes, of course. And that's why I'm giving him the choice. If you can, then it's okay. Though, going to Muslim countries is far greater choice. But if you have no choice except to go to this non-Muslim country, to work in Europe, for example.
And if you have a strong enough faith in...
Yes, definitely. And that is why scholars say that traveling to non-Muslim countries is not permissible unless 3 conditions are fulfilled. 1, that a Muslim has to have a certain level of virtue and fear of Allah that prevents him from indulging himself in temptation, desires, lust, whatever. 2, to have a level of knowledge that prevents him from accepting any bad ideas.
External influence.
Yes, that may affect his religion. You know, you could find someone coming to you, if you don't have a strong knowledge of Islam, and telling you that Islam promotes Trinity. And that is why you say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is the name of the Son, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. So this is straight. And the guy said, duh. No, this is unacceptable. You have to have the proper knowledge that allows you to defend yourself and to refute these bad ideas that come to you. Thirdly, that you have to have a legitimate purpose for going to these countries. So if you go there for just the sake of tourism, I just want to have fun and enjoy myself, this is not possible or not permissible, because you have lots of Islamic countries that you could visit in tourism. But if you have a legitimate reason such as studying, looking for a job, trading, medication, you have to go there because they have the best hospitals, a proper legitimate reason, if these 3 conditions are fulfilled, then it's okay for you to travel. Other than that, stay where you are among the Muslims, among your brothers.
Okay, Sheikh, now I dismiss the idea of going abroad for working. What if I stay in my country and working for non-Muslims in my country, for example, for multinational companies?
Okay. Is
it right or wrong? What about the income? Is it permissible to eat from or what?
The income depends on the activities of the company.
The company itself does.
So if the company, for example, is an industrial company that produces pipes, so this is a legitimate line of work. So this is permissible. Now, your boss or the top management are non-Muslims. So is it permissible for me to work under non-Muslim management? The answer would be yes, it is. There's nothing wrong in that. And the evidence of that is that Salman al-Farisi, may Allah be pleased with him, when he was abducted and sold as a slave, he was sold to a Jew. And his master, his owner, who was a Jew, used to ask him to work in his farm. So he worked in his farm, and the Prophet ﷺ, though he was a Muslim, Salman was a Muslim, and his boss was non-Muslim, he did not tell him you have to leave work or do something or kill your boss or whatever because he's a non-Muslim. No, it's okay. Especially nowadays with this globalization and as long as the activity is permissible and there's nothing forbidden in your work, then it's permissible for you to work.
I think let's move to another point, the working environment. I mean, a lot of people, for them, the working environment defines how much they love their job and how successful they are and so on and so forth. What about mingling or mixing with colleagues from the opposite sex, with females, for example, in your working environment? Are there certain rules? Are there degrees? Would something like that prohibit you, for example, from taking a certain job?
Whoa.
3-in-1 question.
See, no, the problem is that this issue has so many attachments.